My chair's so creaky.
Roll the intro.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their
Hey everybody, how you guys doing? Welcome back to the Linux Tube. We're live today. We're looking forward to our topics today. We are talking about some OpenEla and also Linux life. Is it worth it? And we're going to do a distro spotlight. What the heck? Jesse, how you been, brother?
I have been a little bit absent and waiting for the delay here because I can see my own camera, so I am going to hide that. But hey to everybody in the chat, Alex, it is so good to be back. I miss podcasting. I miss streaming. I miss hanging out with you.
Awesome. I missed you
This is a
too.
fun
Last
it's a
week,
fun new project. Yeah,
yeah, last week was
I'm
something else. I mean, I've been, we started to slow down and then all of a sudden we ramped up again with work. So, where I'm at, on, I would say from the Rockies over on the whole Pacific coast, one of our largest customers is actually Amazon buildings. And so all the steel that goes into their warehouses and stuff, we fabricate all the steel girders, the washers, everything. And so that's what we've been working on. They just came in and put in a huge order here. We've got every piece of equipment at work just going balls to the wall.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so it's been a very tiring week for me. I've been
I can
pulling
imagine it would be. Yeah,
I've been basically pulling, 50 to 60 hour work week.
that's nuts. Hey, it looks like my cam is frozen out on the stream. Are you seeing that too?
I am.
Chat, are you guys seeing my camera? Because I can see it going to you. I'm
Let me
looking at my
look.
own cam and
Hang
I
on.
can see. That's strange.
Okay, let me switch it. There we
Yeah,
go. Can you move?
okay.
Move
I
your
will.
hands. Wave.
All right.
Yeah,
Hello.
now you're live.
Okay. I am not seeing that. I'm going to refresh the stream and see what we get.
I see you moving in OBS.
Okay. On the stream, oh, they saw behind the iron curtain there.
For
They
just a
saw your
second.
OBS. Yeah, they saw the OBS. Yep. Okay, cool. Now
Yeah.
the video feed is live.
Cool. That's
But
really weird how I wonder why they did that.
I don't know.
Interesting.
So
It's always a snafu
yeah.
in Linux. Leads us to Linux
Yeah.
life.
Oh boy. Man, that's gonna be something I spend some time talking about later today.
The perfect
But
snafu.
yeah, life was crazy the last couple weeks. But now I'm definitely moving towards creating content full time. So
Nice. Nice.
that includes what I'm intending to do for, us on the Linux tube.
Awesome. That is awesome. What exactly, so I know that we were talking yesterday and
Yeah.
well, first off, you accomplished a milestone in achieving and solving a problem that you.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I was super, super, super excited about that this morning. Um, do you want me to talk about that now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. I actually had put Windows on my main boot drive for a minute, and it was because my partner left Linux for good, and I was considering it for a minute because just I was having a couple weeks where everyday tasks were being unmanageable. And, distro hoppers, I know you've been there.
Who hasn't experienced?
You'll hit a distro, you'll tweak it, you'll get it all set up, you'll get it all right, and then all of a sudden you are using the desktop equivalent of a crappy car. Everything's a chore, everything's a problem. Steam wasn't working, my OBS wasn't working, my sound wasn't working. It was annoying stuff. My partner, her last straw, she tried to watch Disney Plus and got a message that we have detected you are using Linux. We won't let you watch on Linux. So, before I could check and see if it was
So she was.
DRM related,
Hang on a second. So she was streaming, right? And it told her that,
she was, yes,
and she
the
was
message
streaming
that
through a
she,
web browser, right?
correct.
Right.
And it said that it detected she was using Linux and
She
that it was not
probably
possible.
she probably had not enabled DRM.
Maybe, who knows?
You have to in Brave it's known as Widevine,
Oh
and
yeah.
in
Like you
Firefox it's
like you do for Amazon Prime and Hulu and all the rest of them.
exactly, yeah. Digital rights media content is what it is. You have to
Right.
enable that in order to make things, play like
Right.
that.
I'm assuming that that was enabled because I think I remembered setting her up, but it's possible that I hadn't.
Hmm.
And she was by no means a brand new Linux user. She used Puppy back in the day.
Uh-huh.
So I had no lack of faith in her capabilities, especially on her machine was using Pop. So I think that Widevine and stuff is done by default in Pop.
I'm not sure. I haven't used Pop in probably 4 or 5 years, maybe was the last time I
Yeah,
actually used it.
yeah. I want to say when they finally release the full-on Rust-based Cosmic Desktop, I would love to do that review. I'm a big fan of Pop. I'm a big fan of System 76 in general.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember I remember before they were building, all these different varieties.
Hmm.
One of the cool things and one of the things that got them on the roadmap with people is you could send them a self-addressed envelope and they would send you keyboard caps or
Yeah,
keycap stickers. They would send you keycap stickers to cover up your Windows logo with an Ubuntu logo.
yeah, yeah. I remember that. I remember hearing about it.
And
I never
when
saw one,
when
but I remember
when
that.
Windows Vista and Windows 8 or 7 or 8 were first getting keyboards made that were compatible with them, the Windows key for a while had a little recessed divot, and the keycap would perfectly fill it and make the key flush and cover up the ugly Windows logo.
Well, I know for a while there, and I'm sure they still make them. I'm
I'm
almost
sure they
positive.
have a warehouse full of those stickers.
Well, not just the stickers, but they're actually you could buy replacement keycaps for your keyboards and pop them off, depending on the
Oh,
style
now
of
you
keyboard
can.
that you have. Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
they made them. I remember they used to make the Windows key, and that's the number one reselled one of all the keys that sold the most. I remember that, and they'd make different logos for different things. Like you could put car logos on there, animal
Oh, that's
logos,
wild.
what any kind of logo that you could put, that you wanted could be found on that one key. But that one key, that Windows key, was like the number one sold key out of all the keys on a
Yep.
keyboard.
I no, I believe that. Um, so yeah, going back to the problem that I fixed.
Huh?
Uh, you guys know that I stream on Twitch and YouTube doing game content, and on Linux, that can be a challenge, especially if you're on NVIDIA hardware. But what I did was I sort of used Ubuntu's Snap Store as a bit of a time machine because the Ubuntu Snap version of OBS Studio, the stable version is held at 27.1.3. And that's important because OBS changed how they have things going in the back end where you're not using the EGL compositor anymore
Hmm?
because they were moving towards Wayland support.
Right.
And what that did was it broke the NVFBC plugin for for OBS Studio.
Right.
And there are other solutions. You have Glorious Eggroll's wonderful game capture mode that works on a lot of different setups, but I feel like the NVFBC is a better solution when you can get it to work because it actually captures the whole frame buffer. Now,
Hmm.
unfortunately, that does mean when you're capturing the source, you capture the whole screen.
Right.
But I've noticed that you get the best FPS in the capture if you go this way, meaning
So
that I
what are
don't.
what FPS are you normally getting? Are you hitting on that one?
Well, I'm not measuring it right now, but when I do that source, I just lock it to VSync,
Oh, okay.
and because why would you do anything else?
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I lock it so that my camera's at 60.
Hmm.
I want my frame rate for everything to be 60 so that it's smooth.
Right.
Twitch and YouTube are already going to compress the daylights out of it anyway.
Yeah. And that's the thing, that I used to record because my cameras were all at 4K, and I'd have my resolution at what 2160.
Oh, your bandwidth probably was choppy. That's
Oh,
so much data it uses.
well, yeah, but what it did, yes, but my bandwidth handled it just fine. I've got 1
Oh,
gigabit
that's
here, so
awesome.
I'm good. But the
Oh, I'm
thing was
jealous.
is I noticed that every time I posted a video to the the YouTube or whatever, I wasn't getting that quality, even though it was marked at that quality. You know, so
Right.
and then I was like, why am I? And it would take forever to encode. You know what I'm saying? It took I
Yeah,
literally doubled the time. So I just stopped going for that, 4K quality and just shot it regular HD 1980 at 60
makes sense.
FPS, and I was getting because at the 4K I was only getting 30 at best.
Right.
So yeah, it's just better to do it this way. It's nice. It's really nice. Uh, Also, a little note or started to do.
Uh, let's see. I think we're having a network issue.
What do you mean?
We buffered for a second. That was weird.
That is really
So yeah, now I'm capturing, nice smooth frames and I can go back to doing Linux-based content creation, which is honestly what I prefer to do.
nice. Well,
So yeah,
that is
Linux Life, it's not always easy, but it's fixable.
well, Linux life. I could tell you, I could go from video cards to printers to actual motherboard chipsets,
Oh
you,
yeah,
to actual processors. And then, once the hardware stuff started getting fixed, then Linux Life became a little bit more bearable, but then started the software.
oh of
Uh,
course, yeah.
you would, especially when you were trying to make it a daily driver to use for everything. Um, for me, a lot of it was always finding compatible software that was the mainstream software that would work with other people. Software like Office software being the
Right.
number one thing.
And it's still not one to one perfect.
No, it isn't. And the thing is, and I'll be honest with you, I don't use a lot of Office software, so I can't truly speak onto it. I mean, if I could open up like LibreOffice or whatever, WPS or Only Office or whatever, and hit enter whatever I need to do and make it type and print, I'm usually okay. But as far as like
Sure.
but as far as like setting it up to be compatible with other like
Right.
Microsoft Office or whatever, I'm all thumbs on that one.
Yeah.
I understand there's a lot of finessing that's got to be done on that.
Yep. And for all the headache it has, unless you have a moral stance that prevents you from using, say, Google stuff, really Google Docs and Google spreadsheets and all that has sort of really made the need for a hard coded desktop client very, very much less than it used to be.
Yeah, yeah, and
For a quick job, honestly, it's easier for me to just grab Google Docs, do what I need to do, and then I can hit it from any device I need. if I don't have a printer, I can go up to the print shop here in town,
Hmm.
and I'm in a rural town. I can go to the print shop and print off from my phone.
Nice. You know, like I said, I don't have a lot of interaction that way because I'm more of a, like a knuckle dragger type job. I don't
Oh,
deal.
stop.
No, well, no. I mean, what I mean is, I'm not in an office environment, so I don't have to deal with looking at spreadsheets or Word documents
Right.
or any of that stuff. So for me, it's not a. I don't know how. I mean, I know you could share Google Docs on there and stuff like that, but I don't know if you have to open it through an Office format. On your
Oh,
on
oh,
your
right,
on
right.
your end or not. You know what I mean? So
That makes sense.
I don't know if you just click on it like on your phone, it just pops up. I mean, well, most of your phones now come with an Office feed on there anyhow.
They do, yeah.
So
Yep,
I guess it just naturally, natively imports it and opens it up and you can read it and do any kind of editing and
yeah.
stuff like that. Like I'll tell you another software I remember back in the day, everything when PDFs started coming out. That's another one.
PDFs used to be a nightmare,
A
dude.
huge nightmare.
They were big and they were cumbersome and you couldn't edit them, and oh my
Exactly. You couldn't edit them. There was all kinds of stuff. Now it's like all in one. It seems like your Office suite does all of it. I mean, but
yeah,
so Linux life. I guess in retrospect, Linux life is like I said in the title. Is it worth it? And
y
I
there's a little
think it
bit of a
is.
learning curve,
Yeah, I think it
and
teaches you more. I think it teaches you more on a few different things. One, it teaches you more that you can certainly adapt, improvise, and overcome scenarios
oh,
if you
sure,
put the
sure.
work in. But
Yep.
also, it also teaches you how to sharpen your tool set to be able
Yes,
to
it
do
does.
that. You just can't be faint of heart. I mean,
No.
a lot of people have this misnomer that they're going to jump to Linux anymore and things are just going to work. It's still not that way. Still
Right.
have to put work in.
Using Linux really shows you how much you do with your computer that you
Absolutely.
might take for granted. And
Absolutely.
I would say there's definitely different things that you will go through as you become a seasoned veteran Linux user, if you want to use that term.
Hmm.
You know, I've been using Linux for 20 years. And, last week I had a moment where I'm like, do I still want to keep going? And you have them. I know so
Oh,
many diehard Linux people that have them, right? I mean, I'm not alone here.
no. Every day I
You,
am learning more and more and more. I mean,
right.
there's so many advancements going on into Linux. I mean, it's like people talk about it being fractured,
It is.
and it is, because there's so much technology going on in it, and it's becoming an all-encompassing scenario that it's kind of almost has to be fractured by nature in order for it to survive.
Yep.
And so doing that, there's stuff that you used to be able to that you used to know, and now it's almost like doctors. Now it's become, Linux has become specialty, like streaming specialties, gaming specialties,
Yep.
server
There's so much going
specialties.
on
Yeah,
now.
there's so much going on, and I love it. I love it so
Oh,
much
yeah.
because it shows, one, the flexibility of Linux life
It
and the
does. It
power
really does.
of Linux life.
Do you remember the phrase gaming on Linux used to be a punchline?
It used to be a meme, a joke.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. It was before the days of I use Arch, by the way.
yeah,
It was gaming on Linux.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
gaming on Linux was so bad that Mac users could laugh at us.
Oh yeah, yeah. And what's funny is now they've fallen behind.
Yeah. I
They're,
mean, Apple Silicon, baking the GPU into the M1 chip,
Mhm.
it's it's great for video editing. It is not great for gaming from what I've heard. But
Right.
I wanna do more research before I say much more on the podcast and I wind up wrong.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, they're trying to like catch up because they realize they're behind the curve. Windows is actually, from what I understand, when it comes to the gaming on Linux in the Linux life world, Windows is actually acknowledging Linux in that aspect, and
Well, yeah, I
also
mean,
Linux jumped up to a 3% market share.
love it. I think we talked about that on our first
Yep,
episode
on our
together.
first episode, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So I mean, so what you bring that's showing that what we're talking about, the Linux life is definitely worth it. It's
Yep.
just, I mean, even, like I know several YouTube content creators that have gotten frustrated with Linux and left the Windows for a minute and are now back. In fact, I know one
Yeah.
of them recently got so frustrated they went to Windows, they announced they're leaving Linux, this, that, and another, and then all of a sudden now they're rocking a Gentoo box.
Yeah, honestly, on one of my streams the other day, I had announced it. I was dude, I was mad. I had 20 years of just being tired of workarounds and tired of, little tiny insignificant things that just pile up.
Hmm.
So, if you're out there, if you're watching this podcast or if you're watching a rebroadcast of it later, if you hit one of those stumbling blocks, it's okay. Come back, take a time
Totally.
out.
Well,
And it's,
and that's why when one of the things that I will tell new
yeah,
people,
please do.
new users that are coming to Linux, I understand it's a nightmare, and oftentimes you want to keep them on a separate hard drive. But if you can stay dual booted for a minute,
Yeah, it's a
do it.
good thing to do.
It's a good thing to do. It only helps in your transition because in reality, you're not 100% used to all the different applications that you're going to need that are compatible or comparable or alternatives to what you use in Windows. So if you're not really up to speed on that kind of stuff, transferring to, transitioning to a Linux life can be very, very frustrating in the beginning to the point that it could leave a bad taste in your mouth and you never decide to try Linux ever again. And
Yep.
if you would have just simply maintained a dual boot situation where you could flip into Windows, do what you need to do, and then learn what you needed to do on Linux to get that same outcome, it
Yep.
would definitely make that transition a lot.
Yeah, it's actually easier for me to stream on Linux than it is on Windows. It's more stable, it's easier to configure, it's lighter on resources. And
Well, that's just by nature of Linux. Linux is way lighter on resources than Windows ever will be.
well, it depends on your distro and we could have a whole podcast episode. Hell, we could have a whole series on,
I have never
let's
seen.
let's duke it out for resource usage on like live. Let's boot them up and put them against each other.
Yeah, well, that's an idea actually, but I have never actually, like, Windows 11. I think out of the gate uses something like 10 gigs of RAM.
It gets close, and I think
Like
that's why
10
people
gigs of
made
RAM. I think the most
that.
I've ever seen in Linux in any distribution was like 3 gigs or 2 gigs.
You
That's not
mean
even,
just a cold boot with
yeah,
nothing
cold
open?
boot. Yeah. So I don't necessarily see that that to be a huge comparison.
Well, I know that some enterprising individuals came out, and there was a tiny 11 that had like so many services and features stripped out as an attempt to try
I
and
was gonna say, and how well did that actually?
well, there's some fanfare about it. I've heard different people like it. If you look on YouTube, there are tons of people singing the praises of it.
Hmm.
But I've heard that there's some questionable stuff going on about
Well,
there. I don't want to make an official
yeah.
accusation,
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
And
I've
also,
heard some
I know
things.
that Chris Titus Tech actually has debloating scripts too. That he usually
Yeah,
generates that will debloat and get rid of a lot of that stuff too, and slim it down to a desirable and still functioning. So, but
yeah.
but when
Let's
but when
see.
you compare Linux to that, as far as like hardware resource, man, Linux
Oh
blows
yeah.
Windows away.
Right now, at the time of this podcast or at this episode here,
Mhm.
under Ubuntu Budgie, which is what I'm running right now,
Mhm.
I have Discord going. I've got some tabs going. I have things going in the background, making my webcam all pretty.
Mhm.
And at the moment, I am using, let's see, 12% CPU overall. I have an i5 10th gen
Mhm.
laptop. So I'm at about 12.5 CPU, fluctuating a little bit, but staying under 20.
Yeah,
And
I'm rocking right around 6%. I've got OBS. I've got, or you on a thing. I've got a couple web browsers open,
yep.
and I'm streaming live, and I'm rocking a Ryzen 7.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
yeah, so I mean, I think I'm using maybe with the two web browsers open. I've got maybe yeah,
How much
I'm
RAM are you
looking.
using?
I was getting ready to say I'm using like 3 gigs,
That's impressive. Yeah, now
and
one thing I
I got
do,
32 gigs in this box.
yeah, one thing I love to do, if you have more than say 8 or 16 gigs of RAM and you're running Linux, uh, try passing an argument to your grub commands, uh, and it'll be in the quiet splash area.
Hmm.
Maybe we can put the line in the show notes or something if
Hmm.
people want to try this. There's a kernel argument called 2RAM,
Yep.
TORAM, 2RAM. And what it does is it loads your whole OS into user space. So it puts your entire environment into RAM. And unintentional flex, I'm using 64 gigs on my production machine. You're
Hmm.
using what, 32 on yours?
32. Yep.
Both of our machines are more than capable of running uh, the 2 RAM argument. And if you don't, I would say, try it a few times. Try it for a week.
Hmm.
See how your performance is. I noticed that applications open faster, file
Well,
copies are
yeah, because
faster.
it's on a different bus signal for your with your processor. It's a
Yeah.
lot faster. It's kind of like
Yeah.
it's like NVMe on crack on your
Yeah.
PCIe
Well,
on your
I
PCIe.
do I do have an NVMe main drive as well. Actually, both of my drives are NVMe.
Mhm.
So, I mean, with that, it's as fast as this laptop's going to get. I can't think of anything else I could do to make it any faster.
Yeah. Well,
And you can't do stuff like that with Windows.
huh?
You can't do stuff like that with Windows
I don't know.
easily.
Like I said, flexibility. And that's flexibility isn't from just the software aspect. It's actually anymore. It's also from hardware. You're in
Yeah.
control of your hardware. Granted, and it's really funny because in our Discord server, we have a new person that came in last night, and they're switching over from Windows, and I was conversing with them a little bit. Shameless
Okay.
plug, if you're not in the Discord server, you should join the Discord server. Get active with it.
Absolutely.
But and I was talking to him last night because I find myself talking to a lot of people in the Discord. I'm more accessible. And one of the things I was telling him is because he was talking about which distro to use and how he's going to have to get a driver specific to a piece of hardware for like a capture card. And I was like,
Okay.
so drivers in Linux don't exactly work like you do in Windows, where you have to go out and find this driver and this executable that may or may not have some questionable, bloatware into it or whatever. That could be potentially a virus. It's just baked into the kernel for the most part. It just works. Just plug it
That
in
makes
and it
sense.
works.
Yep.
And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yes." I said, like, if you have AMD, Intel, GPUs, 9 times out of 10, you plug them in, they just, unless it's like some uber super new one and they haven't updated the kernel yet. I said, NVIDIA is starting to get there anymore when you install the proprietary drivers that are available. I said they'll tend to work. They're still a work in progress, and you can actually go to the NVIDIA website, as I told him, and actually download the actual drivers for them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." I says, when you come to Linux and you start living the Linux life, it just works a lot of times. and it
Totally.
creates some frustration when it doesn't work because now you have to learn some kind of techie stuff. Like I said, you have
Yep.
to learn your metal, test your metal strength.
Yeah. We have a comment here in the chat, and
Yeah,
so sorry, I I don't feel like I can properly pronounce this user's name, but they said, most drivers are present in the Linux kernel, and I have to agree.
yeah, absolutely. And it's just when you're switching to the Linux life, you're actually freeing yourself up of the potential risks of going out and getting drivers and all the questionable things that happen with them. And you're freeing yourself up of the frustration of most of it just actually working, except for when it doesn't. Then it's always a catastrophic
Oh
fail.
yeah, it works great until it doesn't.
Yeah.
But do you drive stick?
Yes.
Okay, then this is for you too. I compare using Linux all the time. You are actually using your computer rather than operating your computer.
Correct.
Very much like driving a stick shift is the same way you are actually driving the car,
Yeah.
not just steering the car.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah. And the truth of the matter is it's not like you're driving a truck or like you're driving a nice little sports car too, because you can get really fast with it and do a lot of cool things with
Oh yeah. And then you have, your purpose distros. They're like your little subcompacts.
it. Yeah, absolutely. I
Endis wrapper. Holy shit.
NDIS wrapper, yes.
Rue.
That is
No.
old school stuff. I talked about that
Oh,
with Brody when I did Tech Over
oh
Tea with
man.
Brody. I was talking about the
Oh,
nightmare that was.
that was a guys, wow. Okay,
That's a
that's
flash.
that's for us that's for us old heads. It's time to get out our walkers. It's
That sounds like
it's
something Hip
been
Dad would have said.
oh yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and drop in an invite link to the Discord since you were talking about it
Sure.
for everybody in the chat. We got a Discord link coming through.
Nice. Yeah,
But
NDIS rappers. Oh my god, NDIS rappers.
oh,
Oh Lord, dude, I hated those. And I'll be honest with
and
you.
it
I'm
was
coming up
stable at it was stable for like 5 minutes at a time.
exactly when you first got it, and you finally figured it out, and you got it to work, and then it just went sideways. You could never get it fixed, so that's when I gave up on shit.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, I just gave up on it. I was like, whatever. Like I said, man, that's when you learned how to go shopping for a PC with a list of well-known parts that actually worked.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of things working, why don't you hit your first topic for us today?
All right, my first topic is going to be uh get it up on the thing on the board.
Yep.
It is going to be basically we're looking at Oracle SUSE as they can see it now. Oracle SUSE and CIQ are going after Red Hat with Open Enterprise or Open ELA is what they're calling it, and it's basically the three huge companies have focused on creating a one-to-one bug for bug compatible server distribution for actual Red Hat to compete with Red Hat, and they're specifically, using the all sources are necessary to achieve the one-to-one bug report compatible version of EL. They're using security errata data and their compatibility guidelines for downstream distributions to test their builds results. So they're not putting together what they're doing is they're putting together the source code for people to go out and make their own distributions like your Rockies, your Almas to use, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. They're not actually putting together an actual distribution. So they're basically kind of trying to give Red Hat the FU, if you will, to say, yeah, well, we could do what you're doing, but we could do it and make it very much so accessible, to the world and keep up with what you're doing and bring back the open source value to the server community.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would say it's as adversarial as an FU, but it's more of like
I'd
they've
like to
thrown
say that.
Well, I think they've given the users a lifeboat off the Titanic, and the Titanic is RHEL.
Well, yeah, and yes, but also more specifically in the business world,
Oh, sure, like, it's,
you have
"Oh, you guys can't do this. Hold my beer."
well, not just that, but also think of all those people that had all those servers already in
Oh,
place
yeah.
and
Oh,
running and
the enterprise world got rocked.
rocked, literally rocked. And then when the carpet gets pulled out of you, you're left freaking out once you get over the shock of it, and then you start
Sure.
looking for an alternative. But the problem was is there in this situation there wasn't no real alternative. I mean, you had Sousa has their commercial side as well.
Yeah,
So
and
I mean,
Canonical has Ubuntu server and
Canonical
stuff
had
like that.
Ubuntu, right? But there's a reason why you had went with Red Hat. You went with
Right.
RHEL.
You
You know what I'm
wanted that
saying?
brand power, and they have that.
Or maybe a lot of people tried it. Tried the other servers for their business models, and they just didn't work for whatever reason.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I mean, so you needed that. So this is a good thing for those people that are running the rails. I think it's an avenue out. It's kind of a, like I said, a mild, not a full on frontal fu, but it's actually
Oh, yeah.
upholding the open source initiative for that and giving support back to the actual you know m- community that needed it, because that was important.
Oh, oh, yeah. Just
I mean,
we're gonna be seeing waves of this for a while.
yeah, and like I said, I'm not trying to beat the RHEL thing. I'm trying to show positivity that's coming out of it, because we heard
Oh, yeah.
so much negative on it,
Yeah.
and I think it was on DT's patron cast, and we were talking about that, and I said, RHEL had given a lot to the community. It's okay that they took their basketball and went home, so to
Yeah.
speak, but it was going to create innovation in
Sure.
this, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
this
change
is the
always.
first right, this is the first sign of life. And it's actually something that in a way that we should have kind of sort of had,
Yeah.
already.
We yeah, they made a common enemy for everybody to rally against.
Well, and that's true, because it literally became the enemy of my enemy is now my ally, you know.
Yeah.
And so that kind of, so three huge companies come together to put together an open source, and that's all they're going to do, is a very positive role
Yep.
for that community to have.
Yeah, yeah, Red Hat had their Lex Luthor moment, and here comes the Justice League.
Yeah. Do we have any questions in the chat or anything that we need to kind of address?
Yeah, are any of you guys still on Red Hat after the update? Have you jumped ship on anything? Do you work in an environment where you're allowed to talk about that? Did you see a professional impact from Red Hat's change of direction?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that question, because the reality of it is I've heard from a lot of people, but they were not working in that in
Sure,
that field, in the IT field, so server field of
sure. I mean,
maintenance, or whatever. And all I ever heard was the negative impact from people that were just like regular, users, for
right.
whatever reason they had.
We'd like to hear. Let's hear from people who aren't just repeating what we're all seeing in the news articles. Like, how did it impact you personally? What did you maybe have to do
I
to
did actually.
get around it?
There's on He's a friend of mine on Facebook, and he actually belongs to a couple Linux communities, and he actually does do maintenance service. Now thinking about it, and he told me that once he saw the actual news coming out about it, he'd started kind of, because in the community, I think he had gotten a little bit of wind before it completely happened, and so he had started migrating a lot of them over to either Ubuntu or OpenSUSE,
That
or
makes sense, right? So you
just as
you
a
missed
preventative
the
measure, till he could figure, till he knew what was actually going to happen. So I think that could be a possibility of what happened too with a lot of these professions, why we're not really.
right, because you need contingency plans before stuff like this happens.
Absolutely. So I think that may be another reason why we didn't hear from a lot of guys.
Yeah,
But so that's that I think is, like I said, I was trying to show positive on that. That we're
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
coming
well
out of the
done.
dark days.
Yeah, 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 nicely done.
Yeah. Also, how are you doing with your you got any I just wanted to ask you, I'm kind of coming out of the wind on this one on the blue on you, but what kind of can you give us a hint on any of the reviews you're doing?
I definitely want to spend some time going through various different Ubuntu derivatives. I want to show some Ubuntu Studio. That was one of the first Ubuntu variants that I really started to flex on a little bit. I still struggle with the real-time kernel, and it's got some idiosyncrasies that can be challenging to work with. I want to talk about Pop, and I mentioned that earlier. I think, they are setting themselves apart from the Ubuntu derivatives more and more as we're migrating towards, the Rust-based Cosmic Desktop, things like that. So I don't know that I can put it under the same umbrella, but I definitely can't wait for a beta, even an alpha or a pre-alpha. I would love to play with Pop. Uh, I'm looking at Regatta actually because of your review of it, but
Mm-hmm.
Regatta and I aren't getting along right now, and I think my video card's a little too old for it.
Right, and that's the thing. Regatta is a very cutting edge but awesome distro for gaming that's
Yeah,
built on OpenSUSE,
yeah,
and it's fan freaking tastic. I mean,
yeah.
it's got GOGN, also your freaking all your game launchers are already baked right in. So
Yep,
basically, you just download it, install it, connect your accounts to it. Steam's already
right.
baked right in. I think the Proton's already enabled on it. I can't remember if I had to enable it or not, but the compatibility there I think is already enabled for. I mean, it's literally
That's
set up.
that's yeah. I think it's a really worthwhile contender for Nobara in a lot of different ways, but
And
it
I did
doesn't
a
have.
comparison. I actually did a
Yep.
comparison video on that.
And it doesn't have, all of the same touches that GE put into Nobara because, that's their baby.
Hmm?
But I think we're definitely getting to a point now, thanks to the Steam Deck, thanks to work from SteamOS and Valve, and you've got the fringe gaming distros. You've got your Garuda, you've got your Hollow OS, which was a
Hmm.
fork of SteamOS, if I remember
Chimera
right.
or
Yep.
Chimera. I can't. I don't ever know how
It's
to say the name.
Chimera. It's the
Yeah,
mythical creature. Yeah, the
yeah.
Chimera. Chimera OS. I think there's Draugr OS,
Jogger. Yep.
which and they're Ubuntu based. Maybe I'll do that too.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've got some stuff in the works. But today, I think we've got a spotlight from you, and it's Ubuntu based.
Yes, it
So yeah,
is.
let's talk about that.
Okay, so let me see. We're going to look at this one now. DT. It's really funny. I'll tell you the story on this, and I messaged DT yesterday, or was it yesterday or the day before about it? Either way, and I got the suggestion from another Discord member. They sent me to look at Rhino Linux, and it's Ubuntu based. And the that evening I got it. I go and I look it up, and I'm getting ready to do the. Actually, I recorded a video. I got to do the editing on it for Rhino Linux, and DT the very next day drops this video. So I was like, wow. But it's a brand new distribution. But what makes it amazing is that it is a rolling release version of Ubuntu. And the other
I have
co-
some concerns about that combination of
of course,
things.
because it kind of takes away what Ubuntu's kind of known for, being rock solid and stable and steady, so to speak. Uh, but I think when it comes to this, what they're kind of and it's the XFCE desktop, which is very, as we'll scroll down here and look right
Oh
here.
yeah,
It's
super lightweight.
Yeah, it's super lightweight. It's very customized desktop. It's very clean, very neat. I really enjoyed that.
That
But I
wallpaper.
is awesome. The logo, I love this little logo right here too. You know, it's pretty cool. But
It's
what's
very cartoony and fun.
yeah?
Can we get a larger
Let me see if I
blow
can't.
up for that for the viewers?
Let me see.
Those icons on the website, like, it looks very
Yeah,
fun. It looks
yeah.
very fun.
There's no actual art for it just yet because I think they're just they're create. I'm trying to zoom in on it. There we go.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. It's nice and big. I mean, the icons are
Yeah.
nice. The theming's nice. They've got their launcher here. But what some of the things that I want to highlight are the package manager system in it is known as Rhino PKG-PKG, and
Okay.
it's a very powerful and flexible package manager because it's kind of it will search for whatever you're looking for in app images, snaps, and flat packs if you have them enabled. Also, apt uh, package managers, and also it comes with the AUR of Ubuntu of Packstall completely installed. So that
So
being
Packstall, does that work like, is it adding PPAs? How much can you go into without making it a full review on today's episode?
well, so what Packstall is I did a video on it, and it was a package manager that came along that is actually it does do PPAs, it does do all the different like snaps and stuff like that. It's
Gotcha.
basically the AUR for Ubuntu and for Debian too, as well. It'll do Debian repositories as well.
Okay.
But the thing is it was a graphic. It's a graphical or not a graphical, a
Oh,
command line software installer.
I
What
would hope so. I'd be worried about having that much power in a GUI
right,
and unleashing that on a new user. That's a lot to
right,
work with all those different package sources.
and the developers actually. So what's interesting is the developers actually suggest that you use Nala, install and run Nala on it to clean it up so that it when it categorizes it nice and neatly.
Okay.
And in the video I show that, and it's very very nice.
I
Uh,
am super excited.
yes, and the other thing too is what's interesting is you get a lot of these distributions like this that are new and upcoming, and budgeting distributions, and the development team behind it are you know doing everything they can to fight to get it done right. Well, the main the one of the main developers for this is actually Ubuntu Touch developer.
Huh.
Yeah, he's actually a developer for Ubuntu Touch for Pine Phone 64. And so what he did initially is he threw it was called Rhino Remix. It,
Hmm.
wa- it was it was called Rhino Remix at first, and he threw it out there, and people started actually picking up and using it. And they decided that it was like so cool. So then he went out, and a lot of people that started using it became a development team. They became part of the development team, and they started helping out. Like somebody picked up the package management system, somebody did the theming.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of almost like well, the package management system was always AUR, but kind of like Zero, like Zero Linux. And that's the
Oh,
other thing
yeah.
I thought of. Those colors were pretty much very lion looking. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Lion or
yeah.
whatever.
Oh, I definitely saw echoes of all the purple zero things going on.
Yeah, I
But
thought that too. And so I think it's
Steve,
kind of
Steve, I miss you, by the way.
is he in the chat?
I don't know. I hope he's here.
Yeah.
Uh,
But anyhow, yeah, I mean and one, they made XFCE look sexy,
I like
clean.
the sideways dock bar.
Yeah,
I'm into it.
yeah.
I
They
used to
made
use my
XFCE
Mac
look
in that
sexy,
way.
and
It's cleaner.
it's very clean. I mean, it's clean AF, bro. I mean, I was
Yeah.
the video's coming. The video's coming.
I don't want to wait. I'm impatient.
Yeah, so that's my spotlight on that. And then another thing that we're coming that I'm going to be doing is, as you can see behind me, I've been playing with Hyperland a little bit. It's probably,
Ooh,
got a little glare on it, lights. But I've been playing with Hyperland a little bit on my laptop, doing it on bare metal, and I got to say I love it. Uh, got to do some work to get OBS to work in it, uh,
okay.
to do the actual capturing and stuff like that. But uh, Hyperland is looking good, and then also I've been in our distribution, or I mean Discord server. I've been getting a lot of requests for NixOS.
Ooh.
And Oglo is a huge, he's a member in my Discord. He actually is a huge NixOS guy. And what I will tell you about NixOS is it's a very reproducible OS. Also, it is a immutable but not so immutable distribution. You can actually configure things globally versus userland. You can do userland as well with the Nix packages, but there's a way to install things globally and it will carry across any instance you have it on.
So multiple users, I have a lot of guests over at my place all the time. And one of the things that I do is, I want to set them up, I want to set up a guest account. And sometimes you have to go and reconfigure everything, reinstall all your packages. And that sounds great, that I can just spin up a guest with that guest name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
They leave,
absolutely. And what's really
they
nice,
leave, blow it up.
right? And what's really nice too about NixOS that a lot of people, um, I, I don't know if it talked about a lot or not because I know that Jake at Linux did it. Oglo did a video on it. But what's nice about it is, say you mess up something or you rebuild it and it wasn't right what you did, you could easily roll it back at Grub.
Okay.
You
Looks
select.
like looks like I'm frozen again, by the way. Sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
What could this be? This is crazy.
Hopefully everybody can hear me.
Yeah, I'm sure they can hear you. Uh, I don't understand why you are frozen. Here we go again. Now you move. You should be okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Testing
really
away.
weird. Yeah, Linux life, right? Linux life.
Yep, yep.
That's insane.
Sometimes it's like that.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah.
Cool.
So anyhow, that is what I like about Nix OS 2. It's an easy solution. It's very reproducible. You can make things happen on the fly, and like I said, I've there's a couple immutable like Vanilla OS and a
Yep.
couple of other ones that I've done reviews on. That's one of the things I talked about is it kind of is counterintuitive to the Linux thing of where you should be able to tinker under the hood and do things that you want. This one actually
Right.
bridges that gap a little bit, and it's been around for a while. It's been around for a
Yeah.
while. It's just not been talked about.
It, sure. It's by no means is it a household name, but it's
Yeah,
not, just now hitting the Linux world. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, so that's another one that I'm going to be looking at here pretty soon. That's what's going
Cool,
on in
cool.
our world.
I
Did we
love it.
get did we get a super chat? I think we got a super chat
I didn't see it. You might have seen it.
or
I
thanks or something like that. Yeah, I think we did. Anyhow, whoever that was, I thank you so much. Really appreciate that. It
gotta
came
love the
up on
super
the
chat.
it came up on the actual alert on the stream. So,
Super cool. Nice, nice, nice.
yeah, it
Can
was really
we
cool.
can we get a shout out for that?
That's the thing. I don't know who exactly did it, and I'm afraid to freeze you again right now by switching windows or
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah, put a thank you in the show notes.
I will definitely
Thank you
put a
to
thank you
our
in the
super
show.
chatter.
Yep, thank you so much. But anyhow, that's all I've got for today.
Yep.
It's great being back on again, talking to you.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I definitely this was a highlight of my week.
yes,
It's good to be back.
absolutely. We will definitely be looking forward to next week. Again, next week I'm working on
Yep.
some other content that's going to be, I think, pretty cool too. So I'm trying to decide on whether it's going to be you know, show worthy or not. Still kind of panning out, but either
Yep.
way, I'm really glad we got this out. I'm sure the community was missing us, and they're kind of been wondering what's going on with me. But like I said,
Yeah.
busy at work, busy doing things. I'm trying to get out there. So, and you had some stuff come along in life that
Ooh.
came that kind of rocked your world. So
Yeah.
that's what caused a little bit of a pause.
Yeah.
But either
But
way,
I have more time to dedicate to the channel, and I'm really looking forward to becoming, not just a co-host on the podcast, but a regular full-time creator for the Linux tube.
and partner.
So,
Well, I'm
yes.
looking forward to it too because I think it's going to really, really, really put out some stuff that between your knowledge and my knowledge, and then us coordinating what we're going to do, it's going to
Yeah.
put out content that I think a lot of the viewers are going to really, really like instead of just the same old.
Well, that's okay. Yeah.
Right.
Let's see. Can I tease a little bit of upcoming news?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm really, really, really excited to work on bringing newbie friendly content, both from a content creator's perspective, from a non content creator's perspective. I'm going to possibly be featuring my partner in a few of these how to things. If she's willing to come on camera, I'm going to take some tasks and drop her in as a new user, and we're going to get to watch her sort
The
of
actual reaction, live
figure it out.
reaction.
Yeah, some reaction videos to, okay, we're dropping you into a Linux.
Yep.
See if you can figure it out. And there's no wrong answer, but we want to get, real time somebody who's used it before more than an average user
And when you told
just
me about
coming to Linux.
that idea, I instantly fell in love with it because truthfully, I
We
like.
can't fake that.
Well,
We've
exactly,
used it
and
for
it
too
makes
long.
it so relatable because I have
Yeah,
a lot of new people that watch my channel, new to Linux, and are wanting that kind of stuff, and it's going to make it very relatable to them to be like, I know what that was, and this is how I figured out how to do it, or I'm
yeah,
experiencing that right now, and oh wow, this is how you do it. You know what I mean?
right.
So it's very
Or
relatable content. I love that.
even if it just serves to validate that somebody is pissed off and cussing at their computer and they know it's not them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I love it. I love it. I look forward to those videos. I'm probably going to be the first one dialing into
Hey,
it.
of
I,
course,
so
you're my partner.
yeah,
Of
I
course,
mean
you're
it's
going to be there
awesome. I
first.
love it. I love it. And of course, I'm going to start focusing, on mild distro reviews and also tools and how to set them up and use them effectively, and also user suggested tools like if they want me to figure some stuff out for them and try to
Nice.
put out a video for that, like tutorial videos for so that
I
way we're
I love it.
getting so that way we're getting even content that's actually beneficial all the way around.
That sounds so cool. And first and foremost, we are a community. We are, supposed to work together and make Linux better for everybody.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. And the positivity, and that's the one thing about our Discord that I get compliments on all the time is how much people really love the room and how great they find being in there in the server because it's chill. It's very easygoing, very helpful, oriented to people, and they also see that I'm in there all the time talking to people. When
Yep,
new
I'm
people
working
come
on
in,
being more active in there now too.
yeah.
So,
So
guys, look
and
out for
also
both of
they
us.
a lot of people have told me that they like that they haven't posted questions in there yet, but the Ask TLT section is a very very good one too. Either way, we're over our hour mark,
Oh, okay.
so let's go
Well,
ahead and
that's a
bid
wrap.
adieu to the people out there, and you guys, as always, you guys keep doing what you do, keep on Linuxing, stay blessed, have a great day, and we'll catch you in the next one.
I think the girls with their nails done now.